Now I want to bring in Dasha and Chuck a little bit to talk about this some more. So this is an Arizona story today, but it's potentially a national story in the fall. Does this just compound the gender gap problem that Republicans are going to have all around this country right now? Just the fact that this is like day two now, where this is the top political story in the country.
Well, the problem for Republicans is that there are a lot of problems for Republicans on abortion. We've seen it time and again, but there is no cohesion right now, Garrett, between what Republicans are trying to message at the national level and what is actually happening in terms of law and legislation and policy and impact at the state level. So Trump can say, I want to be more moderate on abortion. We need to change the way we talk about it. But if women are facing actual consequences that are tangible, that are real, that are happening right now and will be happening through November at the state level, then the rhetoric doesn't matter so much. People are seeing with their own eyes. And we've seen many times when suburban women have been able to swing elections.
But there's not a clean ballot linkage here. I mean, you look at those exit poll numbers we showed at the top in Arizona, where you have these overwhelming numbers on abortion, but Arizona was still one of the very closest states. Like, there's a split there that could be exploited.
And that's a challenge for Democrats. Not every voter I talk to is connecting the fall of Roe, something like the IVF ruling in Alabama, connecting those two things and connecting that to who the actual politicians are that are on the ballot. So what Democrats are going to have to try to do, A, is keep this top of mind constantly, because, you know, right now we're having states like Arizona in the news because something's happening. Well, we'll have to see what actually goes on before November, but also make sure that voters are understanding and connecting the dots on all of these issues and seeing how who they vote for, not just on a ballot initiative, but the person, how that could impact this.
To that end, Chuck, I mean, if I slipped Ruben Gallegos some truth serum, does he want the Arizona State House to solve this problem right now, or does he want to see this in November?
Not at all. I mean, you want, because what you really want, you know, there's an interesting here, the people that care the most about access to reproductive rights are actually fearful that the Biden campaign might mess it up, meaning they don't over-politicize it. They know they want 65%. They know there is 60 to 70% support for basically Roe. Okay? They know it in Florida. They know it. But they also know that if you polarize it, you could risk some of that. In Florida, every percentage point matters because you need 60% to get a constitutional amendment passed. Not just in its, you know, getting to 55 is easy. I think getting to 60 is pretty easy when it's 6 weeks or Roe.
Right.
Like, for instance, had it been 15 weeks, right, had either the Florida court or the Arizona state courts had said, no, the 15-week laws. And then the choice was 15 weeks versus Roe. Well, then that right of center, 15 weeks is what I call a tolerable number for people. People will tolerate certain things.
You don't rush out into the street over 15
You're
weeks.
like, all right, if that's what you'll give me, I'll take it. But the problem for the Republicans is that isn't the debate.
Right. Because
the elected Republicans in these state legislatures are much further to the right than Republican voters are on this issue specifically, because the guess call them the pro-life community. I know we have all sorts of discussions. What do you call, you know, those that have been advocating for restrictions on abortion? On the state legislative level, it's like their #1 issue.
Right.
Right. So these are true believers. So you're not going to get a compromise out of the legislature in Arizona that's 15 weeks was, in their minds, lenient.
So how does that dovetail with the Trump strategy here, where, like, basically he has to own everything that happens at the state level right now? He politically owns the Arizona decision, just like he owns whatever's going to happen in Florida, which he very notably did not say how he was going to vote on their bill. So how does that work? I mean, you talk about this in your column a little bit. He did also say
that Arizona went too far. Well, if Arizona went too far, then Florida went too far.
So what's the middle ground? Is there a middle ground position that can be taken anymore on this issue?
I don't think, you know, when we had Roe, there was a middle ground. You could talk about restricting late-term abortions. You could talk about parental notification. All those issues are sort of, they've been swept away. So the middle ground now is, I don't think it exists.
It's all or nothing.
We're looking at access versus no access.
Yeah.
Dasha, we've talked about Florida last week, we're talking about Arizona this week. What are the other states we should be watching where this is going to pop up between now and November?
I mean, there is a growing number of states that are trying to put this on the ballot. You've got Nevada working to get signatures, Montana, Arkansas, Nebraska, Colorado, South Dakota, Missouri, which is actually a perfect example of what you were just talking about, Chuck. Missouri has basically an all-out ban. There was a push about what to put on the ballot Are we going to put a sort of much more far left, like 24 weeks or beyond, or do we compromise it somewhere around 12 to 15 weeks? Because Missouri's a red state. Like, there are a lot of people pretty conservative. And so, you know, which way are we going to go? The Republicans that were trying to put a 12 to 15 week ballot initiative that were pushing for that, they did not win out. So we are in this place where it's all the way to the left or all the way to the right, and I think that's putting voters in a tough place and, you know, making it difficult for these politicians to walk a fine line.
Just very quickly, yeah. This is, I feel like I'm seeing a rerun of Bush 2004. They did it with same-sex marriage, and they were put a bunch of ballots to get rid of to ban same-sex marriage in all these battleground states, and it served to help Bush narrowly get some conservative African-American support, for instance, in places like Ohio, which was a swing state at the time. These ballot initiatives, because what they really do is they change the electorate.
Right.
And if you bring younger voters out, Biden benefits. Hard stop.
Yep.
You don't have to, just showing up is going to give Biden a better shot at carrying a state. That's why these ballot initiatives are so important to the Democrats.
I'll bring Vaughn back in on this point, because Vaughn, you and I have talked about this off camera. I know you are hot on this idea that the Trump campaign in particular, but Republicans in general, are not prepared to capture whatever enthusiasm may be left from their base on this issue.
Right. I think that this is the issue here, Garrett, where, you know, suddenly you're dealing with somebody who has made the case to a great share of the American electorate, many people who have deep, moral convictions on this issue, opposed abortion, have been in their own right on the streets or the March to Life rallies around the country for the better part of decades now. And suddenly there are question marks about whether Donald Trump actually is the political figure that he purported to be, including during his White House years. Mike Pence himself is called to question the conservatism of Donald Trump. And we, Garrett, as a team, have reported on Donald Trump. He refers to himself less as a conservative these days. And instead, it's us versus them mentality instead of conservative versus liberal. And this is where you see suddenly he says the Arizona law goes too far. And to Chuck's point, though, so, OK, but he didn't comment on the imprisonment of abortion providers, 2 to 5 years. He said that he stands by the state's decisions. Well, the state of Arizona has made their choice. And now it's state legislators, like those folks in their local communities that neighbors know who are the ones left in the crosshairs. In these competitive Phoenix districts here, suddenly there was a Republican legislator in the Paradise Valley area just outside of Phoenix who was the one that motioned to have this repealed. But other Republicans shot him down. And now it's going to be every single day ahead an attempt, a motion to overcome the local Speaker of the House in the Arizona House, thwarting an effort to repeal. It's complicated. It's much greater than Donald Trump. We're talking about local politics and abortion being the driving force here over the 7 months.
The Arizona State House, now the center of the political world in this election year. Vaughn, Dasha, Chuck, we'll leave it there on this conversation for now. Thank you all.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.